Crystal Sisters marathon, I guess we're doing. I don't know. My sister Jenny Bethel is here again.
Hey everyone.
And we are going to talk about, I don't know what to call the show. We just did a great show on Madagascar, so guys, check that out if you haven't already. That was an island where there's a lot of gorgeous treasures that you can find, mineral-wise. But today we were going to talk about some of our favorites. You know, there's a huge show in Tucson every year that we go to, and it has crystals from all over the world, so we wanted to talk about some of our favorites from this past year. But also, we're going to talk about some of these are quartz crystals and just some special qualities that are, I don't want to call it a little more advanced, but a little more deep.
Right.
In terms of
that we learned about.
Right.
When we were there. So we wanted to share that with you guys.
And a lot of these words are kind of thrown around in crystal shops, and we just want to demystify what some of these things mean so that maybe you guys can learn a little bit today. It is really amazing when you get deeper into working with these crystals, when you start to understand what a few of these terms mean and just the subtle differences in crystals.
Right. Very subtle.
Very subtle.
Some that you have to kind of squint to see or shine it in have the right light on it to understand and see the differences. But
yes,
a lot of these took it up another level for us when we were in Tucson, which was so fun.
Yes.
So we hope it does for you guys too.
Well, why don't you want to get started with what was your first one that you were going to talk about? Well, because some of these cross over too. That's what's interesting, right? Some of them
definitely
layer.
Definitely. Well, maybe I'll start with the sentient plasma quartz because we can both kind of talk about that. These, we were struck by these as we wandered through this one particular booth in Tucson, and obviously this is a tiny piece, but this actually came out of the earth, just like this. This is unpolished. This piece was as is.
Sentient crystals these crystals, it's sort of a thing to not cut them. They're not cut or polished.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Nor do they need to be. They are absolutely perfect just the way they are. But the sentient plasma quartz is the highest concentration of quartz in the world. It's the clearest. It's the most clear, obviously, and the most pure. And it's considered semi-precious. I didn't realize that either, but I see why. But you can only mine this in the highest peaks of Colombia, and obviously you have to truck it all the way up with the equipment and whatnot. So they are expensive. More so than a lot of the other quartz and some of the other ones that we brought that we'll talk about today too. So, but it makes sense. They're the hardest to get to and excavate, but they are worth it so in every way. Incredibly high vibration stone, and again, quartz crystal is also known as the master healer stone. So incredible for a healing practice, or for your meditation. For yourself or for others.
These are like super crystals.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
superpowered
crystals. And this is a sentient plasma crystal. But this has another, like I said, we're going to start layering. So let's layer onto this a little bit. There's another word called Lemurian quartz crystal. Now, Lemurian quartz crystal, it used to be believed that it can only be found in Brazil, but now people have found it in other parts of the world, but it is still relatively rare. And so, is yours Lemurian?
It is Lemurian.
Okay, so Lemurian is the naturally striated lines that are formed on a crystal. So some of these facets, because this was not cut and it's not man-made, you cannot add these striations man-made. Some of these facets have it and some don't, you guys. It's just bizarre. I mean, these are just special pieces. And Lemurian is supposed to be, the theory is that it is information that has been embedded into these crystals. And many people believe there was a Lemurian race of people that no
Right.
longer is on the planet. It is very related to Atlantis, those types of ideas. But whether or not you believe in that or not, Lemurian technically means the striation that you find. So you might have a Lemurian quartz that's not plasma sentient from Guatemala because it is striated, or you may have a Lemurian quartz from plasma sentient
A Russian. This is a smoky Russian Lemurian
because it
that
has
the
the
striations.
right, right. So they're just beautiful, and all I can say, you guys, if you work, I'm a little speechless right now, to be honest with you, just because it's hard to describe what these crystals are like, especially if you're a sensitive person. And I'm just gonna like be really honest, and I know we're on a network that says things aren't woo-woo, but this is gonna sound woo-woo. I literally picked this up and just had an experience with it, and and I can't even describe what that means really. I had chills. I felt
Spirit.
I felt spirit around me. I do medium work. These are really about information, and they are very intense, and they are very special and rare. So if you want to really start meditating with crystals, if you're in the metaphysical world and you want to work with crystals, these are sort of the advanced
Right.
crystal,
Right.
I would say.
And one thing I'll add on top of that is, as far as the striations and the lines that you see, if you scrape them, what I read, if you scrape them with your finger during your practice or your healing or your meditation, that
Activates them.
activates the messages to come through of oneness and healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it feels good to do that too.
They're just extremely special pieces. The next thing we're going to layer onto these is what many of you may have heard the term before when it comes to crystals, and that's record keepers. Now, record keepers are triangles that it's a mystery as to how they got on these crystals. They're not engraved, they're just sort of indented. So it's a record keeper is a triangle, and this bears saying and being clear. Record keepers, the triangles point up. In other words, the point of the 3 points always points up. And that sometimes they feel engraved. Sometimes they're very hard to see. You have to hold it in a certain light to see them. It could be the tiniest triangle, you guys. It could be 50 triangles. It doesn't matter. If there is one triangle and it points up, the crystal is a record keeper. Now, the triangles can also be inside the crystal. They can be outside the crystal. They can be an indentation. They could be concave. They could be raised. They could be convex. So it really is just, do you see a triangle and is it pointing up? And that means the crystal is a record keeper. Record keepers are there to help you get information. We talked about the ocean jasper, the polychrome jasper in the last episode, and about how that is for seekers. Okay, that is more of an action-oriented stone, and it's less of a information stone, if that makes sense. It's more about motivation. These stones for seekers, record keepers, are about learning. They're about the great Akashic records and trying to get information. They help us get information. So if you're meditating, if you're trying to navigate through a problem, a psychological problem, an intellectual problem, a scientific problem, it does not matter. The record keepers are said to help open up the channel so that information can be downloaded that you are asking for or that you are a part of already, but because we're in this dimension, you aren't able to access it as easily. Now, you can have triangles or record keepers on many different kinds of stones, many different types of quartz. So it is not just on one type of stone. So again, it's another layer. It could be a record keeper and not be a Lemurian. It could be a Lemurian that's a record keeper. It could be a plasma sentient Lemurian record keeper, right?
Lots of vocabulary.
Lots of vocabulary.
Lots of new words today.
And so while I'm on record keeper, I just want to go right into the term trigonic. Now, trigonic is a record keeper stone where the triangles point down, not up. And I read a really beautiful way to describe the difference between a record keeper and a trigonic stone. A record keeper is like opening a book to learn about something or figure something out or get information that you need about whatever it is. A trigonic stone is like walking into a library. So it is vast. It really taps you into, we talk about Akashic records, we talk about, the intelligence of the universe, multi-dimensions. I mean, we're getting out there with this, you guys. Trigonic crystals are very rare. They're a lot more rare than record keepers, and they are kind of the ultimate gateway into knowledge. And I mean, knowledge, there's not the right word to describe.
Right.
And knowledge is a lame word. I'm trying to. So these are very powerful stones. So we could have a trigonic record keeper plasma sentient Lemurian quartz crystal.
Wow.
I'm sure that there are some out there, but that would be even more rare. So before we get to some of these other things, I want to say one thing. A lot of stones are calming, or, I use them for different things. When I first started working with these stones, I especially love to, at the end of the day, because I'm very busy. I have like a corporate job as well, and I just have a lot of stress, and I'm an empath, so I love my crystals to help clean me, along with my salt baths. I talk about this all the time. I do my salt baths, and then I will meditate, or I'll work with my crystals, or just get with them. When I first brought these home and started working with them, I literally had insomnia. I couldn't sleep at all. And I never have insomnia. I mean, I know you have issues with insomnia.
Right.
I never have insomnia. So I had to learn these crystals are so activating for me and potent. I literally removed them from the side of my bed and put more grounding stones like garnet and ruby,
smoky quartz, and
rhodolite. I did a lot of my red stones and I have tourmaline, black tourmaline by my bed. I had to remove these stones from my bed because I'm too sensitive. So keep that in mind. But that is, if any of you have these stones and know what I'm talking about, please get on the message boards and talk to me about it, because these are just so special, and people have had so many interesting reactions to these.
Well, and very individual reactions. Again, we're all wired differently.
Do you have a trigonic quartz in your collection, or?
I don't, at least not in what I brought today.
What else did you bring in terms of?
Well, it would be veering off the Lemurian, among other words, topic. I brought lithium quartz today that we found, which I absolutely loved. It has the most beautiful lilac colored,
which is the iron
touches,
or the lithium. I'm sorry,
the lithium deposits within it. And what I love about lithium quartz, first of all, we've all heard of lithium, and it's the mineral that's used in most of the antidepressants that we have today. But it is such a healing stone. It helps to heal repressed anger, grief. It can be very soothing for depression and anxiety, and gives you relief from panic attacks and things like that. I mean, it can aid in that, along with whatever you might be taking medicinally at the same time. But it's just so soothing. It has such a soothing appearance to it. Just when you look into it, it almost feels...
Now, is that a Lemurian lithium?
This is not.
Because I have a Lemurian lithium at my house, I believe. So again, we can add all those terms to this if it had the triangle, trigonic record keeper. But this is... Do you know where this is from?
Brazil.
Brazil. So This is another special crystal that comes from actually one place in the world. It's called lightning strike crystal, and this is actually a Lemurian lightning strike crystal, and I have not found any triangles to indicate that this is a record keeper, but these are extremely rare, and there's so this is hard for me to pronounce, but they come from one place in the world. It's called the Sierra de Espinaca, Espinaca. It's in Brazil, and what it is there's a lot of beautiful high quality quartz crystal at ground level that they mine, and for whatever reason lightning strikes the same place over the centuries. So, and the lightning is attracted to this quartz and it goes down into the ground. And because of the amazing heat, hot and cold, that the lightning and electricity that the lightning applies to the quartz, it is these very special zigzag patterns that they find in this quartz. So it's been activated by lightning. So it's pretty amazing and very special. They have tried to do this in a lab and make these same, scientists have tried to recreate this and they cannot. And it's really interesting. Read about it online. There's a lot of actually scientific papers about how did this happen.
That's
and
incredible.
The molecular structure changed with the quartz, which I really just think it's really fascinating. So it's a very special piece. Love it.
Definitely. I know that was a find. Again, we were so surprised by so many of these.
Well, one thing I want to say real quick before I move on, I meant to say, they say that lightning quartz, as you can imagine, is really good to help you with attention. I have ADD, so when I read that, I thought that it helps you focus. The lightning kind of focused everything right on, this piece of mineral. So it's really wonderful for people who need focus or attention or have a goal that they're trying to meet and they want to stay on track or on path. Lightning quartz.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
All right.
Okay, so moving on.
You brought some really special things.
I know.
Can you talk about that one?
I will.
This is so amazing.
This was brand new to us. Again, from Tucson, one of our earlier finds when we were there. This is called cacoxenite with a C. And what I love about this is that it's always within a host. And this one in particular is an amethyst. So it's quartz that's within a host. And it has a different vibration depending on
The host.
the host, exactly. So it's also known as a stone of ascension, but it's great for bringing good into one's life. It encourages you to look for the positive in any kind of situation that you're in, whatever your life circumstance is at the time, and it's really good for discernment and decision making, of course, along with that. It allows you to, or helps you to, let go of relationships that aren't in line with your true purpose. So it's a letting go and bringing in at the same time of the positivity of that. But I just love it. I mean, we'll get a good photo of this, but there's green and burgundy and purple and gray and black. There's just so many different things.
It's beautiful, and that's a little more rare. And it's 7. Is it 7 minerals? There's. It's a mix of stones altogether.
Is it chalcedony? That's one of them too.
Okay.
One of the main ones
Yeah.
too, I believe, that I read about. So
This is like a universe.
it is.
Looking at that.
It really is.
What is this?
So, okay, that's one of my new stones that I'm really, really obsessed with. I've actually got several pieces of this to kind of put together on display. But this is called Tiffany stone. And this piece is a little less purple, but the other pieces of mine are more creamy with some deep, dark purple striations in that. I just fell in love with this. You find this in Utah. It's the only place that I read about you can find Tiffany stone. But so again, there's not much purple in this, but when you see purple, it is
Third eye.
Sorry, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Or is that,
more crown.
I'm sorry, crown chakra.
Yeah, it's crown chakra. And so what's great about the crown chakra, as we mentioned before, is that it opens you up to communication with your spirit guides and your higher self. And so this is incredibly good for decision making and intuition, which I love anything that kind of helps me with that. So psychic abilities, channeling, if that's your thing, any and all of that. But it's also just amazingly beautiful.
It's so funny. We didn't talk about what we were going to bring today before we brought what we wanted to show, and we have so many stones about getting unstuck, decision making,
moving forward,
getting
staying
information
on the right
to move
path.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Sort of I guess that's what we needed to talk about today.
I know.
Okay, so there's another one here that I want to talk about. It's so funny because this is about decision making as well, or it can be, which isn't that amazing?
It is. It just works out that way.
Wow. This is a gorgeous example of azurite, but azurite typically does not look like this. This is from a special place in Siberia. So Siberian azurite looks very different than normal azurite that you see. Typically, azurite is more of a purpley blue. Even it's kind of like lapis, but it has more of a purple tint to it. But it has different colors. But the Siberian azurite literally looks like almost like ink lines through another material. Like it looks like a granite, and it has gorgeous blues and greens. It's almost like a piece of art, like somebody has drawn on it.
And I love that in the egg shape.
Egg shape
too.
Oh, no, it's so pretty. So the thing, it's very indigo, third eye chakra. It's very much about they call it the blue ray in meditation. It really affects and helps you connect with the blue ray. And we've talked a lot about decision making and getting unstuck. The azurite helps you with creative decision making. So if you're creating something or wanting to be inspired, it's like almost like a muse stone. So if you're an artist or a sculptor or an inventor or someone who
starting a
business, but you have any kind of a blank page of some sort and you want to create something new, azurite is wonderful, and especially Siberian azurite. So that's just one of my very favorite pieces.
Okay, so one last thing
that
I want to talk about quickly. This I've found these little pieces of KYANITE, that's with a K, in Tucson, and I love this KYANITE, and I use it every day. But the really cool thing about KYANITE is that it can balance all of your chakras just by holding them in your hand, and sometimes it doesn't take even that long. So I like to think of it as I'll pick them up and do balancing on the go, which I love. But I just hold these in my hands like that and kind of get still and ask.
Simple.
My God, it's very simple, and I just love these.
Yes.
So that's really fun. KYANITE. And one last thing about KYANITE is that they do not need to be cleansed. It's the one mineral along with citrine that doesn't need cleansing.
Wow.
Which is really interesting too. Yeah,
That's
it doesn't
amazing.
absorb negative anything.
I like the shape.
I do
and
too.
The size.
And these are polished, obviously, so they're very, very smooth. But a lot of times you find KYANITE in its raw form.
Yeah.
And it's very striated and linear.
It almost looks like mica. If you guys have seen mica before, KYANITE is naturally formed like mica. Love it. Wow.
Okay.
We covered a lot today.
We really did. It's a lot of information.
And there's so much more. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to see us today and spending time with us. We love to talk about crystals. We love for you to talk about crystals. So get on the boards, ask us questions, give us your comments. Do you have pieces like this at home? We'd love to see them. Post a picture.
Absolutely, especially how you guys use them, what some of your favorites are. We love learning from you guys constantly. So
right.
let us know.
Follow us too. We have our own, I have my Real Ethereal Instagram page, so at the Real Ethereal. But we also have a Crystal Sisters Instagram. It's at JL Crystal Sisters on Instagram. Follow us because we have actually other stuff going on that you might not know about on our page. We have surprises.
We have interesting posts.
Yep.
Along the lines of what we do here.
Yes, so there's more. There's a little community forming at JL Crystal Sisters. So please visit us there. Thank you for visiting us today. We'll see you again. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me again. I can't wait for next time.
Yes.
It's endless. We have a list of things we want to talk about, and we'd love to know what you would like us to talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
Too. So thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.